This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day. Carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed podcast. Thank you, Joe, for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. Looking forward to it.
Of course. So today, per usual, we are going to start with a fun little segment. I like to call this segment Keep It Trending. So what you are going to let me know is, tell me about your favorite media trend. It could be recent. It could be a long time ago. And something that you think could have maintained popularity if done correctly, but for in the long run, it kind of missed the mark, and what you would do differently with that campaign.
Whoa, like on the spot here.
Yeah.
Favorite like recent trend. So like social media trend or
any media trend. It doesn't have to be social media specifically, but anything that you have seen in your experience that you thought, oh, this is really cool that this became popular, but it's not, it's not anymore.
Gotcha. That's a really tough opener. Could have done so something that could have been done better, you're saying? Like, so something that was done but could have been done better?
Yeah, like for longevity purposes. Like, say it might not have just been a trend if something differently was done.
Whoa. I would probably say this might date me a little bit, but I would say any kind of the traditional media advertising, right? So one thing I came from the traditional media world, and I looked at how the traditional media companies would kind of format the advertising and the marketing, right? The marketing and the advertising messages would always be between the actual media itself, right? So television, you'd break for 10 minutes and watch commercials and come back to the thing that you were trying to watch. And radio, you'd be listening to music and then they'd stop for 10 minutes and play commercials without any music. I feel like, as powerful as those mediums are, I think the way that they were programmed did not adapt to times, right? Where people's attention spans are so much shorter than they used to be, where you're basically telling people, hey, for the next 5-10 minutes, I'm not going to give you the media that you want. Listen to all of these clear commercials. I think that's something that really needed to kind of shift with the times, and I think is what is leading to a big decline in those traditional mediums, just not holding up to the way that other mediums are.
I think that's an incredible take. I would agree with you that, the short, if maybe commercials were modified to be more short and in your face, or more I don't know if gimmicky is the right word for it, but something that will catch your attention more than just your standard commercial, which I think is a very simplified format, but not something that's really eye-catching. I think a lot of people just look down at their phones during commercial breaks now, and I think that that's not beneficial to the people that are posting these commercials, but something short-term and attention-grabbing, if they adjusted more to that, I think that they might still be a good way of advertising as of now. But right now, it's not really something that people prefer to do.
No, well, because people, like you said, they tune out, right? They'll change the station, or they'll go to their phone. I mean, it's just, we have so many other instant ways to get that little dopamine rush that I'm not going to sit here and wait for this sponsor message to get through before I get to the thing that I actually want to listen to. I even think, even if it's not just the shorter, bitier type of marketing messages, but also just programming them differently. Instead of playing 5 songs and 5 minutes of commercials, play 2 songs and then a 15-second ad, and then 2 songs and then a 15-second ad, just to kind of keep everything moving, keep everybody's attention, so they have no opportunity to switch off, because you don't know when that thing's going to come back.
I think something that I really appreciate that I think I'm seeing more of with commercials and trying to kind of grab your attention is absurdity. I think that that's a great way to kind of like get someone's attention while they're clearly going to be looking on their phone during a commercial break. I think that's such a great way to get the attention of your audience. And I think that people being worried about their brand be looking or being a certain way and the expectations of it, that they're worried about kind of taking that kind of tactic. But I think there's a way of doing it that works really well and makes people pay attention to something.
Yeah, well, there's plenty. I'm sure there's obviously plenty of brands that are afraid to do that kind of stuff because there's plenty of advertisers that are still doing things the old way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think you're right. I think the ones that are adapting to the new places that people are spending their time and attention are benefiting, and the ones that are kind of just doing things the way that they always done are just kind of getting the results that they always would get,
Yeah,
or less.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think that there's so many brands that are kind of afraid to mix it up, so they're just kind of getting, maybe they're getting the expected goals that they're looking for, but they're not really like trying to achieve more or thinking that they can't because they've been at like a stagnant place for a long period of time. And I think that without trying to take those risks, then of course you run the risk of maybe losing clients because something doesn't go the way planned. But also if you don't take those risks, then you will never really be able to increase your client base.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's just adapt or die, basically, right?
Exactly. There's definitely a risk with that for trends and not realizing that something's trendy and it won't really bring you new clients for longevity purposes like we were just talking about. But I think that if you're not willing to adapt, then you might just be forgotten about over time, and that's not
at some
really
point.
what you want.
Yep. At some point.
For your content specifically, what is a creative element that you have found that maybe consistently drives the shareability of something?
Oh, interesting. So, for personally, or from a client's perspective as well, because we get way better results for clients. You know what I mean? Like, because I can talk to that about what works and what gets that shareability and what's making people send this video to somebody else.
Yeah, maybe clients specifically, like local.
Yep. Yeah, that's primarily what we deal. We deal with a lot of our our local market. Believe it or not, the things that have gone the most viral for us and for our clients are just simple talking head videos that are either controversial, asking a good question at the beginning, and are either giving a piece of information or starting an argument. Whatever it is, the topic of the video will appeal to two different sides, if that makes sense. People that will agree with you and people that will disagree with you. And both of them are awesome for shareability because the ones that will agree with you are going to send it to their friends, and the ones that disagree with you are going to blast you in the comments and keep pushing that video even further.
How do you walk that line of controversy?
I fully embrace it. I think well, I can only speak from experience of what we've been able to do with our work, but I think you have so many opportunities. Like, they don't charge you anything to post on TikTok, right? So post as much as you can. Say some things that, as long as you're saying it and being true to yourself, I think it's perfectly fine to be controversial, right? Because the one thing that people can't take away from you is your opinion. When you say that I think or I feel or I believe this is the way, you're right? Like, some people are going to think you're wrong, some people are going to think you're right, but ultimately to you, you're right. So if you're owning that, again, our goal is to get conversation started in the comment threads and to get people sharing and interacting with content to get it to spread more. And controversy is just one of those ways that you can do that.
I definitely agree. There's definitely it's a way to get people talking, and that's always good. When you're interacting with clients or potential clients, are you specifically looking for people that will go along with this kind of like way of thinking, or is there some convincing that sometimes it takes in order to get someone to go along with maybe something that's controversial? Because I would understand like a business owner being worried about that.
Yeah, of course. No, I think sometimes it definitely does take some convincing, but I also I'm of the mindset that you're not going to sell the unsellable, and I don't want somebody to do something against, almost against their will. Like, just
Yeah.
like, I don't want them to feel like I convinced you to do this thing. I want you to understand the pros and the cons of the way that we do things, and basically decide for yourself, like, hey, is this something that I'm willing to be able to try? Now, generally, the ones that try it, they do really, really well with the type of content that we create. Not everything we do is controversial. Like, I don't want to be like the controversy guy. But I'm just saying, like, when it comes to some of the things that are the most shareable, the things that are the most viral, they typically have a little bit of controversy or opinionated type content. But yeah, no, I mean, there is a little bit of hand holding in the beginning, but then once they kind of get a feel for, oh man, this is good, like this is what we want, like we're getting eyeballs that we didn't get before. This now kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that when people hear controversy, kind of it makes them scared, but that's not necessarily something being controversial doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I think that there's I mean, anything can technically be controversial. If someone disagrees with it, it's controversial. Like, I mean, if there's a group that disagrees with something, then that's possible. But I think that, especially if you have a business that like stands for something and the way in which you're thinking about how you're doing something, then of course people are going to disagree with it. But, you get more, I think you have the potential to get more loyal clients too, for people that do agree with you, because they also agree with your values. And I think that that's what you really want your clientele to have, is not just loyalty to your product, but also what you believe in, why the product exists.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can't be everything to everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the internet has become a place where authenticity is really valued, I think, now. So that's why whenever we start with a new client or a new business, and they're starting to build their presence on social, we want to tie it to a person. We want somebody to be like the face or several faces, right? Like, people don't want to follow this faceless brand that means nothing to them, but people will follow people, and with people comes opinions and thoughts and beliefs, and some people are going to agree, some people are going to disagree.
Yeah, I definitely think that is true. As a creative agency that has like a specific approach, or maybe this is like maybe generalizing, and you have a different, I'm sure you have a different approach for every kind of client. But when you're speaking with clients that have maybe been with other agencies that have done something similar to you, but they're coming to you for a reason, meaning they probably didn't like their experience there, or it wasn't the best fit, what do you hear the most? Like, from clients that are unhappy from previous experiences?
One of the big things I see when it comes to digital agencies specifically is that most of the time these clients don't understand what it is that they're buying.
Hmm.
Right? They think they want one thing, but they're buying something else. And a lot of agencies and agency people will be very technical when it comes to their pitch. I was just recently with a client who was pitched this digital platform with a media company, and he was like, "Dude, I don't understand anything in this PDF that they're sending me." And I had an hour-long call with them, and they just kept talking about things that I didn't understand. And that's going to leave somebody with a bad taste in their mouth, especially if they don't get the result that they thought that they were going to get. That goes both ways. That goes two different ways, right? Like, communication is key, really clearly identifying what the results are that you want, but then also understanding what it is that you're buying. So
Yeah.
when somebody comes to us from another agency, I have one thing that I've gotten personally from several clients, is like, they really just didn't, it's going to sound so cliche and I hate saying this, but like, they didn't really think outside the box, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like some agencies might mail it in, so to speak, but also too, maybe it means that your visions just didn't align, right? That's
Yeah.
basically what we're getting at, is that they weren't really thinking outside the box. Well, no, they really weren't thinking within your box, right? So I feel like it really comes down to understanding what that client needs, what their end goal is, what their personality is, and how far can we push that to get it in front of people and make people actually relate to it.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I think that meeting a client where they're at is really important because, and it all goes back to, everyone, I think at least most people in the agency world preach transparency, but I think that there's a level of that is misunderstood where, like, I consider transparency as not just clearly identifying, your goals for this client, but clearly identifying it in terms that they will understand.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is also being transparent. If you hide behind jargon and
Right.
even if you are telling the truth and you will deliver results, if they don't have a clear understanding of what they're going to go through, they're either likely to be unhappy if they do decide to go with you anyway because they don't understand the process and if they're not seeing the results that they want, they have no understanding of why. But it's just important that you understand your client, but your client also understands you, because in the long run, like, they are going to stay with you if they have a good experience and they think that they have a transparent experience. And that is also the way in which you tell them things and not just the way you do things.
Yeah, and I think one other thing too that is not always aligned is, like you said, a lot of agencies can hide behind metrics and jargon and whatnot. But like, one of the things I'm not afraid to talk with a business about is, how is it impacting your sales?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, 9.9 times out of 10, business owner just wants more sales. It wants its marketing and its digital to directly relate to, more awareness, people picking up the phone, going to the website, becoming a lead, buying, whatever it might be. If you're not having those real conversations with business owners when it comes to content marketing or digital marketing, whatever it might be, I think you're doing them a disservice, because at the end of the day, that's the end result. Like, views, likes, shares, everything is awesome. That just means that people are enjoying and relating to that content. But is it accomplishing the thing that you originally called us about, which was, we need our phone to ring more?
Mm-hmm. I think that is a big must, in which, any business will love to see that virality, like, oh, we have more views, we have more whatever. But if sales aren't coming from that, or even if sales are, but only for this very short period of time, it's not something that, it's not worth that. It can look good also on paper, but if it's not something that lasts long term, then it's just going to be disappointing eventually. And then that's when, okay, I just moved to a different agency and maybe do the same thing all over again, which
Yeah.
is unfortunate.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I think we don't rely on so many social media trends, trending
Yeah.
audios, trending things, because you might get the views, you might get the virality, but kind of for the wrong reasons, right? Like,
Yeah.
we want to make things that are a little bit more evergreen, some things that will last longer. I love looking at a client's analytics and seeing that a video from 6 months ago is still trending up. Like, I love to see that kind of stuff, because we know that we made something that's long lasting and not something with a really short shelf life. So, and then I think that's one of the reasons why we kind of make the content personal to the brand, to the audience that they're trying to reach, and not just try to grab trends. Now, don't get me wrong, trends are fun. I think if you want to add personality and you've got the right people that are willing to do that kind of stuff, I'm all for it. But I don't think necessarily that is the strategy. I think it's just part of it.
Yeah. Yes. Well, speaking of trends, how do you kind of like keep updated on them? Because of course, like, they have some relative importance, but also ensure that a client isn't focusing on like this shiny object kind of thing. Like, I know that I've spoken to agencies that do media in the past, and some of them say that, like, clients will come to them and be like, we want to be, trending for this, but it's not necessarily something that seems good for them.
Yeah. Um, I think every business wants to stay relevant, right? I think it should be a good goal. Um, we do a really good job, I think, in the beginning, when we are starting with a new client, really breaking down like how this works. And I think part of the reason why we're able to do that is because we have so many case studies that are like the anti-trend, that I honestly find that so many business owners, at least in the industries that we work in, like they don't want to do that. Like they're just like, I don't like, I think this is, what, clapping my hands and having it transition to something fun. Like that's just not for me. Like I want to give people my truth and give them advice and educate
Yeah.
them and teach them. And that's just kind of like who we gravitate towards and who gravitates toward us. But that's not to say, we had a pet rescue business that we started working with a few months ago, and they just went viral. Not by doing not by doing specifically a trend, but by creating a skit that's a little bit off brand from what they had already been doing, and that's leading to major following, bigger audience, more traffic, more adoptions, that kind of stuff. So like, I am not opposed to it at all, as long as it fits what we're doing, what we're capable of, and is it doing the thing you want it to do, or is this just going to be a thing that people are going to forget tomorrow?
Yeah, there's something that's very important about making sure that if you are following some kind of trend that it makes sense for that business, because there is so many businesses I see following trends on social media or whatever it may be, but it's not in any way beneficial to their brand. Like it's just something in which they're participating in. And yes, there's something to that, I think, in the idea that you maintain like this, like being modern, like still being relevant in a space with a certain population, maybe, and that does kind of make sense in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a way of doing it correctly and also not overdoing it where people aren't taking your business seriously, I would say.
Yeah, and again, if that's your personality, and you don't want to be taken too seriously, and that's what you want to be known for, fantastic. I'm all for it. Let's go all in. But if that's not the goal, I'm probably going to just sprinkle it in where it makes sense if that's something that you're looking to do. I don't want to make that the strategy, because again, they're short lived, right? I think you're going to get short term attention, but you're not going to get that long term loyalty. And the scary thing too is, I think it's scary to go viral for something like that, because then the business thinks, well, this is just what I have to do now, like over and over again. They're kind of chasing that dragon over and over again. And don't get me wrong, it's fun to go viral. We love it. We love when clients go. Literally every day, Shannon, uh, we never have a client that's not at one point during the day or another.
Mm-hmm.
But I would so much rather a client have 10,000 views consistently with the phone ringing off the hook
Mm-hmm.
than getting a million views here, 3 million views there, and not moving the needle at all.
Yeah, I think there's also something that is not considered when you have this immense virality kind of accidentally, is the idea that normally they can handle that kind of like incoming traffic if that is something that it does. And a lot of times they're not the ideal client. They're just this mass population that just heard about this and
Mm-hmm.
are maybe inquiring silly things or not really completely interested. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
something that they're interested because it's virality and not necessarily because of what it offers. And I think
Like the
that
value, right?
yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that is not really is not thought about as much when someone is looking to go viral, so to speak, is the idea that you kind of want to intentionally go viral,
Yeah.
like strategically go viral, because if you're unintentionally going viral, it might not be for the purposes in which you want to.
Right. Do you want to go viral because you jumped on this dance trend, or do you want to go viral because you said something that resonates with 3 million people, that you now are aligned with them and they're in your audience forever? Like I would so much rather the latter.
Exactly. Is it, well, speaking of virality and like the misunderstandings around that, is there anything that you recognize that your clients or prospects come to you with a great misunderstanding of?
Everybody thinks their idea is going to go viral. They're like, oh, this is going to crush. I've got
Oh
this
no.
great idea. It's gonna kill. Oh, people are going to go nuts over this one. Like that's
It's
the biggest.
interesting
It's the
because
biggest
they're going to
misconception.
you.
What's
It's
that?
interesting it's interesting when people think in that way, but they're going to you for like ideas. It's
Yeah,
very
right. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I look, I'm willing to try just about anything, right? Like that's I think I've done a good job of just like yeah, like being like yes, just say yes to it and give it a shot. You have so
yeah.
many chances to crush it, right? But yeah, no, I mean I think for me that's one of the biggest misconceptions is like you think you have the greatest idea, but you have no idea. I realistically have no idea. The only people that really know if it's good or not are the people that watch, and that's really it. Like that's the true judge of is this a good idea or not.
Do you ever have to have uncomfortable conversations about kind of knowing that something isn't going to work? How do you work through that with the client?
Yeah, I've always been okay with calling somebody's baby ugly. I just you know what I mean. Like I have no problem with it. I think you have to like I'd be doing you a
To be
disservice.
honest.
I'd be doing you a disservice if I was just a yes man and everything that you want to do is correct and I'm just gonna then why are you paying me right at this point, like why are you hiring us, the team that knows what we're doing, if you have all the answers, right? So and that's generally it's not a good client. So I'm okay with disagreeing with clients. I'm okay with firing clients when things don't mesh. I actually kind of like doing it in a way because it gives us the leverage and it allows us to kind of control how our day goes, right? And not having this outside person that thinks they know everything control what we do.
Yeah, it is. It is something that you definitely that I think that's part of the transparency is like telling a client when you think they're objectively wrong about something. I think that it they're coming to you for your professional opinion, so to speak. So I mean, if they're coming up with ideas that aren't beneficial to them in the long run, then of course, it's nice to be told. I mean, of course there's going to be people that are um not very responsive to criticism, even if it's beneficial towards them. But maybe that's not the greatest client to have then if that they're not open to that. Or I mean, you can always show them the proof of that by, saying, hey, I will do this campaign for you. I'm going to tell you that it might not work out, but I will do it for you so that you can see that it won't. And if it does, I'll tell you I'm wrong. I mean,
I was just that was the next point that I was gonna make is like I will respectfully give you my opinion and tell you why I feel that way and why I think this is going to happen or that's going to happen. Ultimately, if you really want to pay us to do this thing, I'll see it through, but I'm not going to own the result, right? I will not own the result, good or bad. If it crushes, you were right. We just executed it. And if it did what we said it was going to do, like told you so. I mean,
yeah, like maybe next time we can do it my way.
maybe you could just listen to us instead of telling us that you think this idea is fantastic. But yeah.
Has there been a circumstance, if you're willing to admit, has there ever been a time where you went down a client's idea path, so to speak, and you had unexpected results?
In a positive way?
Yes. Or maybe a negative. I don't know. I mean, like if you
Negative
expect
way,
whatever you expected.
negative way, definitely.
Oh
Right?
no.
Where, I'm not gonna say the industry. I'll just say it's law based, right? Um, Law firm was branded as the firm to go to for this particular area of law,
Mm-hmm.
right? And dominating that market for years and years and years and years, and just saying, we just do this.
Yeah.
If you need this service, we do this and we do this the best. Well, a lawyer comes to me and says, hey, there's this other market over here that we're not tapping into, this other area of law that we have attorneys that can handle it. And I think because we've built such a big name, the people will just come to us in droves for this other thing.
Oh no.
And I'm like, no, that's false. And I'm like, I don't think this is a good idea. We've been spending 5-6 years telling people this is the thing that you do, and now all of a sudden you're going to be like, hey, by the way, we also do this. And they thought it was just going to be this quick, like, hey, people know us. They're going to hire us for this. And when I tell you multiple 6 figures were spent to find out that like this did not work, told you, like
it's interesting because I do have these conversations with agencies a lot about niching down. And I think such an important thing to note about that, and like spoken countless amounts of conversations about this, is that niching down is great. However, you don't have to just take in those clients. If you want to expand into this field, you're welcome to. Just don't advertise it. Just don't.
Yeah.
Just like find like if you run into a client that does this and your specialty is this, but they're still inquiring, you can say yes to them. Like that's fine. Sure. And then they can tell their friends about you, and then you might be able to expand into that market, but you don't have to devote money to advertising to that new market. Just do it in a different way. Whereas I think that when you do advertise for this other purpose, when you were only looked at for this niche, it muddles your purpose. Like on the, and I think that's exactly probably what happened in that thing, is that people want to expand. You can expand whenever you want. You just don't have to say something about it.
Yeah, and I think that's what that story kind of proves how important and how powerful marketing is, especially over the long term. That like when you're going to be known for something and you do it well, you're going to be known for this thing.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start to say something different, it's not like, it will not work. Like maybe with like lots of time and different strategies over time, sure, you could be known for multiple things, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not like this was the mentality was, oh, this is going to be a light switch that I can just pour money into this and the money's going to pour back in. Doesn't work that way.
No, I would even recommend just starting another business that does that, and just have like I truly think that works better than, you know, advertising that, hey, we do this now, because it's like people get it's weird because, you know, on paper it should seem fine, but people get confused by it. They say, oh, do you not do this anymore? Or oh, like, and people will stop going to for the first thing that you specialized in and did so well in, and it messes up. People want a clear purpose of why they go to something. I think that when there's any confusion within the process, then that's what keeps clients from coming to you.
Yeah, a big mistake that I think we all make to some degree when it comes to marketing our business is lack of clarity, right? We're trying really hard to get everybody that we work with, and even ourselves, to speak to like a 6th grader.
Yeah.
Right? That we get so caught up in this dramatic tagline, these like empty words that don't mean anything, when realistically you need to simplify it. We're like, oh, you have this pain, I have thing that fixes this pain. Like, that's right.
That's it. There are people that can be roped into jargon because they think it sounds fancy, and there is a type of person that works for, but it's way smaller than the type of people that you could reach being simple and making sense to more people.
And that's why we make such, I don't want to say the word like simple content, but like simple and effective content. Tell somebody what you're going to tell them, deliver on that message, and give them some value out of it. Like, that's it. But keep it simple. As soon as you start to get long-winded and use jargon that's either industry specific or, you know, like going back to the law example, if you sound like you're talking to another lawyer, you're going to lose a client, right? Like, you have to keep things simple.
Yep. I've played a game on the podcast before that was called, I think it's Tell It to Me Like I'm 5. And I would just have marketers explain a term to me as if I'm 5. And the people who do that the best, I think, are probably the best of the best in their field, because they're able to explain something in simple terms. That's how you get clients. Like, that's how you at least reach the biggest amount of clients. There are people that will maybe understand the jargon and the terminology in which you're using if it's complicated because maybe they have some experience in the field or they've dealt with it before. But
Right.
if you want to optimally meet your audience, then you have to put it in ways in which everyone can understand, not just this specific niche group of people.
Yeah, we try to keep it as simple as possible. I mean, it could be as simple as like, oh, nobody knows you exist on the internet. We make people know you exist on the internet. Oh, you're getting no traction on anything you've posted in the last 2 years. We'll help get you traction on things that you post from here till forever. Like, oh, the phone's not ringing that much. We can make the phone ring by doing that. Like, I don't know why we have to complicate things. I really don't. I
think sometimes it's not even hiding behind jargon. It's having a lack of understanding that you're so devoted to the space that you don't understand that you're reaching someone that isn't in the space. And it's just...
sometimes being the smartest person in the room can make your potential client feel like an idiot. And it's not okay. Like, you have to get down to their level.
Yeah.
And I have different conversations with different types of clients, right? Like, if I have a client that is, they're selling a blue collar type product, I have to talk to them differently than I talk to, a multi-million-dollar law firm. Like, it's just different. You have to kind of be able to be a chameleon a little bit, but still keeping it simple.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's similar to the podcast, because everyone has different personalities that I'm trying to relate to and converse with, and it's not necessarily something like, not everything works for everyone. Like, there's people that I don't even do a game with because they're not game people. They won't have fun with a game.
Yeah. Well, you almost got me. So like, I was like,
you had a great one. I knew you'd have it. Don't even worry.
Yeah.
You just had to think a little. But yeah, it's just, you have to, like, there's so much psychology involved in marketing and meeting people where they're at, where you have to understand what they're thinking, how to help them, and how to get them to recognize the way in which you can help them. And that's really, I think that a lot of people miss the mark, maybe because they're thinking too hard about it.
Yeah, I try not to. I mean, believe me, I try to do as little thinking as possible. But no, I've always, I've been in sales forever, right? Like, I've been in sales for like over 15 years. Like, I've been in sales probably since I was a 4-year-old, begging my parents to get me this toy, right? Like, and it just never left me. It leaves a lot of people, but it never left me. And I just feel like I am more of that. I like more of that, like, consultative approach to, like, hey, I'm gonna teach you a little something, and you're gonna tell me what it is you think you need. I'm gonna teach you a few things, and if you learn something and you get value out of this, then great, we can move on and we can work together. But hey, if you don't want to work with me, at least you're learning this. At least you're walking away with this thing that, hey, maybe the next conversation you have, you're a little bit smarter about it.
I think that is a beautiful place to round out this podcast. I think that you ended that perfectly. And the idea of it is still almost advice oriented, in the idea that, as long as you're able to provide value in some way, I think that you've reached that person, regardless of whether they become a client or not. At least they have some value that they've gotten from you. And that's, I think that's a sign of a good marketer, is the idea that you care about your client or even potential client, regardless of like the purpose in which they're coming to you for.
Yeah, I like having conversations with people that it sounds kind of jerky, but like I can tell if somebody's going to be able to afford what we do or not just by the message that they leave, or the profiles and the way that the business appears. And but I'll still take those conversations, even if, like, in the very beginning I qualify them and they can't work with us. I still want them to leave with a positive impact from me, right? Like, that's what I want. I want them to walk away either knowing something or being able to go and do something that they didn't think they didn't think about before. Whether it's, posting a certain type of video that they haven't tried yet, or learning how to do something on TikTok that they didn't know before. Like, if I leave them knowing something they didn't know how to do before, I am more than happy to have the conversation.
I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today. I think that was absolutely a great way to round out as well. You kind of just continued the best.
Sorry, I just keep wrapping it up. I'm just kidding.
I'm saying, no, I think that's really lovely, and I think that it really shows that you care about your clients. I think like whether they're going to become clients or not, I guess anyone, because I mean providing value is something that's really important, and it really goes a long way for people, talking about you, and also like talking to their friends about you, and even if maybe they can't afford it, maybe they still recommend you because they have a good taste in their mouth, and that's really good. So thank you again so much for joining me today. This is really fun.
Thanks for having me. This was great. I appreciate it.
I had a lovely time, and thank you everyone for watching. We'd be nothing without you. So please check out other episodes. I hope you got to learn from this episode from Joe like I got to, and thank you again.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.